welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today, at the request of Patreon subscriber Dragon, I am playing Esper Stoneblade. Dragon wanted me to do a comb over of this list, see if I could make it better right away. They are considering this for Eternal Weekend and want to get the early testing out of the way. Right off the bat, I want to say about this deck, it is working really hard for wins. Psychic Frog is obviously, anyone playing Legacy knows, is central to the format right now. The format is balanced around Answer Frog or be better at frogging, etc. And how you support Frog in your Frog deck is a big part of what people are brewing around. And having Stoneforge Mystic, which doubles your amount of high pressure 2-drops, kind of must answer 2-drops, is a way to do it. But a high pressure 2-drop could be Entomb plus Reanimate in this format right now. You could play Nethergoyf on turn 1, and it's a high pressure 1-drop instead, and you don't need another color in your deck. I'm not trying to start this episode by criticizing the deck. I'm just saying these are real issues facing people who want to be doing a deck like this. What I do like about this deck, I like that it has cheap disruption in the form of Thoughtseize, Swords to Plowshares, Prismatic Ending, removing frogs, punching holes to build game plans around. Like Thoughtseize not only takes their best card, but it sees what cards they have left, and you can dance around soft permission or line up your removal versus their threats. I don't need to spend a lot of time on why Thoughtseize is good. Proven good Magic card across all formats. It's legal. The changes I made to the deck right away, the sideboard had some pest controls in it. I think Wrath of the Skies is just better at doing the same thing now. Obviously, they're slightly different. Sometimes you sweep up some of your own permanents in a Wrath of the Skies, but if you need to kill a bunch of 2-drops, then pest control wasn't getting you out of that anyway. It costs the same amount of mana to wipe out an Urza Saga and everything that came out of it. The pest control doesn't answer the saga itself, because it's non-land permanents that cost 1 or less. Wrath of the Skies gets that, plus other artifact lands that might be in play. Wrath of the Skies doesn't cycle if it's bad, where pest control does. But I just think this card is so much better that this is what we should be thinking about in that sort of spot. I also moved Basic Swamp to the sideboard, and I cut one of the basic islands. The original list had 2 islands and then the swamp in the main. These 3-color decks with 3 wastelands, you just don't get to play 4 basics. Sorry. You just don't. Harbinger of the Seas in your own sideboard, and that's a big part of the format right now because everyone's trying to beat Eldrazi. When you bring this in, you bring in the swamp with it. Your lands are going to turn into islands anyway. You don't need another basic to play around Harbinger of the Seas. But you will lose more games to being unable to play Psychic Frog and Stoneforge Mystic across your 3-color spread because your deck's full of basics and colorless lands. But that's a change I made. There were a bunch of Force Negations in the sideboard, and never in my life do I want to spend 2 cards to answer 1 card with a deck like this one. We're already working hard. It's just going to be working harder if we have to go 1 for 2 to answer our opponent's things we care about. I added a Spell Pierce to the main. I added more Consigned Memories to the sideboard. Deafening Silence, so we have a real chance versus combo. Those were the changes that I made. I am dubious about True Name Nemesis. I think that Cryptic Coat is already True Name Nemesis for all intents and purposes, and True Name does not brick Frog because True Name doesn't fly. And I think this should be a card that helps win Frog fights, or another cheap piece of interaction, maybe another Spell Pierce, even another Snapcaster to recycle our cheap interaction cards might be better than True Name. I want to let it ride, though. I cut 1. I don't want to cut them both. Let's just give it a chance, but I am dubious about this card most in the list. Those are my early critiques and changes. Now let's go play some matches. This is Esper Stoneblade. I'm on the play in round 1. I don't hate this hand. I do hate that it only has 1 land. If I Thoughtseize them and see a wasteland, the game might be over. If I ponder and then they combo me out because I didn't Thoughtseize them, the game might be over. I am going to keep this and I'm going to lead on Thoughtseize. Or maybe not.
Okay, I am going to be a coward. I'll ponder. I wish I had the hero in me to fire off Thoughtseize here. Great ponder, by the way. Found basically everything I'd ever want. But the idea of the game ending to a cheese wasteland when it didn't have to is just so embarrassing that I will not entertain it. We are always playing to the mid-range. There's not going to be a quick win here. I'll just play accordingly, and I'll lose to some Lotus Petal deck because I did Thoughtseize them. Even if it does end up going this way, even if they do combo me out here in some horrendous fashion, there are way more Wasteland decks in the format than there are Lotus Petal combo decks right now. The top decks are various Frog Tempo, Dimir, Grixis, etc., and Eldrazi. All of the above are Wasteland decks, and look at this. They were actually all in on a single reanimation spell. I hate life. Does this come in tapped or something? Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and doesn't untap. Okay, it doesn't enter tapped. Yeah, if I just Thoughtseize their Dance of the Dead, they don't do anything. Alright. I've had quite enough. I don't need to see more. Okay, Deafening Silence seems reasonable. Surgical Extraction seems reasonable. Consigned to Memory, depending on what their reanimation is, this may or may not be useful. I don't think it's going to be. I'm not going to bring it in, but at least talking about how you can stifle and animate dead entering or Dance of the Dead entering. Dance of the Dead is really interesting, though. You would not play that card unless there was a reason to. I actually think this is World Gorger Dragon. It's at least one of the bullets in the deck, in which case Consigned to Memory is bonkers. Like, if Dragon leaves play and I stifle the trigger that returns all your permanents, it's over. Okay, I'm going to mess with Consign because I saw Dance of the Dead. True Name Nemesis, very slow for this matchup, but might be necessary as a blue card. Prismatic Ending, can't imagine that's useful. Batterskull is going to be too slow. Sheoldred's Edicts might play, but I don't really want them to have a creature in play at all. I'm not going to Wasteland this opponent. And Wasteland only casts in the deck Snapcaster, Mage, Stoneforge, Mystic, True Name, and Cryptic Coat. And then everything else is just color pips. That does bring me down to a 20 land deck, but I think that's okay. Oh, I could sidegrade Wasteland into Swamp even. That doesn't solve my whole sideboard map, but that does get me another colored source in. And you can shave Stoneforges in matchups that are super fast like this, because it doesn't help you survive the first 2 turns, and it's not fast enough to apply pressure even if you get to turn 3. Like, you'll find one eventually once you're totally stable. Okay, I will try this. Keep. And I will cast the Thoughtseize this time, now that I know. Opponent kept 7. Let's see what they are. I hope it's the same 7 as last game. Okay, we've got Grist the Hunger Tide. That's a pivot. This hand doesn't even do anything. What is happening? They were going to cast turn 1 Grist? And this hand is very close to doing a number of things. I think I take their Thoughtseize, because then they don't have Entomb or Reanimate. Thoughtseize functions as Entomb with attracts in the hand. I'll take Thoughtseize. I'd like to take Grist, but if they don't dedicate their turn 1 and their Lotus Petal and a Dark Ritual to getting Grist into play, then it doesn't matter. Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal. Okay, we are just firing Grist into play. You did it. Made a bug, milled a Thoughtseize. This is actually a great spot for Stoneforge Mystic, because I don't super care if they kill it. I care a lot if they kill Psychic Frog, and I can actually Consign to Memory, because Grist is an activated ability that creates a triggered ability. I want to get Kaldra, so they have to respect the Stoneforge. I don't want to get Cryptic Code and let them ignore it. Luda Delta. We didn't know about that one. Attracts a Dark Ritual 1 unknown in the hand. And if I draw a blue source, I can play Frog and protect it from Grist. Okay, they're just continue bugging out. Chain of Smog in their deck now. Alright, that's a pivot. I did leave in my Plows. If they cast a Witherbloom Apprentice, I can Surgical the Chain of Smogs now, and then that's just a card. Oh, Abrupt Decay. Alright. That was the one unknown. This is a great turn to draw a blue source. Force of Will. That doesn't help. I'm going to Brainstorm, try to get me somewhere helpful. Cauldron Complete can go back into the deck. Do I need 2 Surgicals? I can leave 1 on top in case it becomes important. They plus Grist, milled, and animate dead. I'm taking 2 here. I'll fetch in the end step. I have a Surveil hand I can get. But I'd rather have Archive or Sewers. Probably Archive. There are more white cards in my deck than black. Archive found Tamiyo. Tamiyo is really good against an army of bugs. I will keep that on top. Then Psychic Frog. Grist, the word when indicates a triggered ability in the Magic rules. You may sacrifice a creature. When you do, destroy target creature or planeswalker. If they draw a Thoughtseize here, I kind of have to force of will it, which is super annoying, but I need this frog to win the game. Dark Ritual's on the stack, okay. Entomb. Send it. I have Surgical ready. Surgical for Spell Pierce. Archon of Cruelty in the graveyard, Atraxa, and 1 unknown in hand that I have to assume is a reanimation spell. Indeed it is. Exile that Archon. Make sure to click on the 1. And this deck has Animates, Wither Blooms. Is Chain of Smog a triggered ability? That player may copy the spell. No, it's not. All right, that doesn't create a trigger. Chain Lightning does, I think. I don't know. But those cards are templated similarly. I don't know. I don't need to figure that out right now. Sedgemoor Wish, Troll. Yeah, it's really only Atraxa and Archon in this Golgari midrange deck now. And no World Gorger Dragon to be seen. Okay. We handled that. Reanimate fizzles. Now it's time for Frog to take over. You may sacrifice a creature. Phase 1. When you do, Phase 2. I will counter this triggered ability. Opponent must have known I had something because I made the play. And now I can go Jump Frog, discard everything except Tamiyo. Or I could flip Tamiyo this turn. That's better. Yeah, play Tamiyo. Play Ponder. Discard all the other cards. Frog will flip Tamiyo. Cryptic Coat, solid follow-up. Coat will cloak whatever I put under it. And I have to discard whatever here. Yeah, alright. Do not shuffle. Jump the Frog. I do play Snapcaster. And they play Reanimate. So leaving spells in for me and taking creatures out for them. Both relevant things to do. Attack Grist Hungertide. Dump my hand. I could keep the Spell Pierce or the Force, but having seen their deck now, I'm less worried about doing those things. I draw Tamiyo flips. The bugs are 0/1s where it matters. And then I can pick up a spell next turn. And I have the biggest creature. Off we go. What I have to worry about now is them runnering an apprentice into a chain. Oh, right. I forgot I get to draw this, so I wasn't going to cloak the brainstorm ever. That's just how cards work. I could buy back Force here, or I could just keep freezing their things. I'm going to exile Ponder, Brainstorm, and Surgical. Attack my opponent with Flyer. Draw an extra card. Another Frog. Let's go. Now do I want to pick up Spell Pierce? I don't think so. Encrypted Code is unblockable, but Frog is. More draws. And they're done. Cool. Sweet. Now we know a little more about their deck. They might pivot back, which is interesting. That's a lot of consigns now that we know what they're actually up to. I could shave one of those. Prismatic Ending looks better. Children's Edict looks better too. Deafening Silence looks worse. But again, if they just seesaw back and forth here, I'll add an Edict. Deafening Silence out. Hope I don't get rejuked. This hand does not interact. I'm going to mulligan. This hand interacts, but slowly. I am going to keep this, though. And I'm going to bottom basic planes. If they take a turn off to Thoughtseize me, I get to hold up Plow. If they just send it, I don't really want to go to 4 to find a Surgical Extraction. If I lose here, I lose. But if they're on a slower pivot, it's fine. Okay, they did Thoughtseize me. The slow setup is what I was looking for here. And I will have either Plow or Spell Pierce up going into their next turn, both of which seem good against their deck. This is why you don't chase insane 4s, like a 5 with Force Blue card or a 4 with Surgical on the draw against Reanimator. They're just going to Thoughtseize you. That was smart. If their combo can't beat Plow or Spell Pierce, they might as well take the thing that is a card advantage engine for me. They might even reanimate that Tameo, which, if it ever becomes a Planeswalker, it's mine. But their deck doesn't play Brainstorm, so that's really hard to make that happen by accident. I'm getting Thoughtseize again. Just Spell Pierce that. They must have just drawn that Thoughtseize because they would have taken Spell Pierce unless they thought if they take Thoughtseize, then I tap out for Tameo, and their hand is so slow that that's not good. Let's go. All right. Found Psychic Frog and drew Surgical for turn. The squad's coming together here. They can't fart around forever, and now I could beat a graveyard line. Wall Therapy. Okay, so they know about Swords to Plowshares. I'm just going to brainstorm and scramble this up for them. Ooh, okay. Well, this is pretty awkward because if they name Surgical, which is something they might name, it's Surgical or Force, I think, are the things. If I put back both Plows and they read Surgical as a reasonable name, they get me real good. If they just name Frog, I'm in trouble. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put back Plow and Surgical, and if they stick to their guns naming Plow, they got me. There was no good way to play around this. Oh, wow, they named Psychic Frog. Very smart. Yep, it's really what level your opponent's on in the Cabal Therapy game there that determines what's going on. And they're on the Fend Off Threats, which is bad news for me because I know I'm just drawing a bunch of stinky blanks over the next several turns. Do I Surgical Cabal Therapy in their draw step? I don't think so, but that's tough. Reanimate my Tameo. You got her. I could have Surgicaled there. That does also shuffle away another Plow, but if I Plow this Tameo, well, I should have played around that. All right, I'm going to Surgical Extract their Reanimates in response to this. They don't know I have two Surgicals, and they don't know I have Plow on top of my deck. Abrupt Decay, Animate Dead. And we actually did get a Reanimate out of their hand. That's pretty cool. Ashen Rider, Archons, World Gorger Dragon. Okay, they are back. They have juked back. There are 3 Cabal Therapies in there. And they're not well set up right now. Okay, but neither am I. This game's going to get weird for a while. They're going to name Plow. They're going to see the other Surgical. Then I'm going to draw Plow. And my hand is the same as before all this happened. But theirs isn't. They could have the intention here of animating my Psychic Frog. And they'd have to discard a card before it has power. But a discard outlet's actually just really good for them. I'm just going to Surgical my Frog if they reanimate it. Oh, they're going for Tameo again. I don't really want them to have her either. Okay, Surgical Extract that. Only get this one, leave the ones in my deck. Okay, that blanks, and now can I apply pressure before they get stuff together? Stoneforge Mystic. I do like that. And I am going to tutor the Cloak because they're holding Abrupt Decay. I know that they can kill Stoneforge Mystic. Ironically, Wasteland would be great this game, but I boarded them all out. That's magic. They're animating my Frog now rather than killing Stoneforge. Okay. That's in play. Ponder. I do like Ponder, but probably not this turn. I'm just going to pass. I can Zuda in Cryptic Coat. They could destroy Cryptic Coat. They could destroy the creature without paying ward because they have Abrupt Decay. I just have to hope they didn't draw a giant Reanimator monster. Because if they have to discard a real card, even if it's a land or a Lotus Petal or something, that's real resources into the Frog, then I Plow it. And we get a 2-for-1. All right, Frog's jumping. That doesn't matter till they discard a card. Shit. They drew Atraxa, of course. Well, I mean, their deck's good at doing that. That doesn't mean I can't be annoyed by it. Definitely have to get rid of this, though. I took their Reanimates, and that is 2 Animate Dead spent. Obviously, if they have it, they have it. But if they don't, we can start turning it around right now. Cycling Troll. Okay, great. Just digging up more mana. Now we're back to perfect information. We know this is a top deck war, where they're currently losing life and I'm not, and I'm a Ponder Brainstorm deck and they're not. Okay, they put the Bayou in their hand and did not play it, which means they can't play Abrupt Decay this turn. They definitely still had a land drop available. Cryptic Coat, get in. Who's under there? Please be Psychic Frog. It's Brainstorm. All right. There's a Tundra. Cast Ponder. Edict Surgical. I like all these things. I'm going to put Surgical in my hand. Play out the Tundra. Attack with my creatures. And I think I'm going to pick up Cryptic Coat right now. That makes Cabal Therapy better, but it makes Abrupt Decay worse. Though I could just leave the coat in play and attack them with it and make them come to me. I'm going to do that. Because picking up and redeploying Cryptic Coat is a 4-mana way to add 2 power to the board when I could simply attack for 3. If I were good at this game, I'd actually do the math and figure out if that changes the clock. But instead, I'm just going to attack with my stuff until they deal with it. I'm currently worried about very little. Oh, I should have left Stoneforge back because I could bounce Coat in response to bouncing Coat now. I'm just going to do that. That actually rules. Bounce Coat. Do they want to cast a spell now? It could kill my Brainstorm. And I know I'm drawing a land, so I could just replay the Coat this turn on the cast and still have up the mana to bounce it. And we have Lethal on board. That's a Ponder under there. They're going to have to decay one of the cloaked creatures pretty soon. Or they could just concede. All right. I mean, that was pretty fun. Game 1 was just a coin flip of... It's not even a coin flip. We have actual metagame data on how many combo decks there are versus how many Wasteland decks there are. And I did the thing that will be correct more often than not by pondering before I Thoughtseize. And then we lost because I didn't Thoughtseize. And then the other 2 games where we knew what we were doing, it was a lot better. One thing I do like about these mid-range blue X decks with Stoneforge Mystic is they are very sturdy. And I like the additional threat density when you have to keep hands that don't die in matchups like this, and then you have to turn it around and win somehow. That is where a deck like this one is good. We'll keep track of that as the matchups unfold, though. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 2. I am going to keep this hand. I've got double frog and the ability to remove an enemy frog. We've got Ancient Tomb, Chalice of the Void from someone whose username is Island Gosami. That feels like Stolen Valor, I'm going to be honest. Playing Island Go. Who are you? Okay, get rid of this Swords of Plowshares. And they're on Eldrazi, probably. It could be Red Prison or something, but Eldrazi is the most likely deck that would do this. And the Double Plow would have been sick. But Double Frog is still sick. Oh, Wasteland, never mind. Thought we were going to have a moment there. Opponent said no thank you. And that exchange was actually a little interesting because playing the tap land got Plow out of the way, which is a dead draw. But it got me wasted. A little push and pull on that. As far as, should I play it around Wasteland or not? It's Stoneforge Mystic, pretty dope. It's not as good as Psychic Frog. Psychic Frog, get in. I have 2 things I could discard easily. This is where Frog really thrives, is when you are being locked. And it gets to cash in all these locked cards. It's good against Blood Moon for the same reason. They've got the Myco Spawn. Ayabugan. They're going up to the top rather than trying to waste me. That seems like it's probably correct. I have 3 cards that are completely free to discard right now. Do I want to Stoneforge Mystic and get Cauldron in the game? I think I do. First, I'm going to jump this frog, though. Discard Plow. Discard Tameo. Discard Ponder. Just blasted for damage. I don't think playing a control game is going to get me anywhere. And this is kind of cool, because I could tutor Batterskull, which looks one way, but I'm holding Cauldron, which does a very different thing. Thought Not Seer. Yeah, I could discard my whole hand, but I have 2 weapons here, either of which I'm happy to have in play. But they're going to take the Cauldron here, unfortunately. Herald making their squad all bigger is pretty spooky. Normally, Batterskull is enough to trade with the top end and beat the low end, but now I'm trading with the mid-range and losing to the top end. What I'm worried about here is Kozilek's Command. And they do seem to be putting mana into an X spell. Yep. Just the worst. Yeah, that was a really good turn. If they just killed Frog and I rammed Cauldra in, that's a game plan. If they just took Cauldra and I got to keep Frog, that's a game plan. Unfortunately, they covered everything. And they went top, bottom on their Scry 3. That's scary. I'd love a land here. If I could get 2 threats into play, that would be cool. That's almost cool, but it's pretty late to the party. Do I think just sending it with Frog is better than putting this Batterskull into play right now? Probably. And they kept their cards, so they've just selected to the top on purpose 2 of the 3 cards in their hand. Good chance they just have another removal spell, and then I'm not doing anything. But I am pretty well behind. I needed their last turn to be slightly worse than it was. They've got a Fleshraker and Devourer of Destiny. Okay, that card is in their deck. I wasn't worried about it earlier because they didn't reveal it at the start of the game, but now it is here, and I am very dead. Okay, Chalice of the Void won them that game. Wrath of the Skies is a nice thing to do if we get to 6 mana. Consign and Harbinger very obviously coming in. Swamp comes in because I'm bringing in Harbinger. I got Wrath in the maybe pile. I'm not playing Spell Pierce. True Name Nemesis, this might be a matchup where it's actually good. Batterskull is weirdly terrible because they have so many ground idiots and they're so big. Prismatic Ending kills Chalice of the Void, but no other card in their deck, basically. At least not in a way that I'd be happy with. I like Force, I like Stoneforge. Thoughtseize, maybe. Tamiyo, maybe. I think I like Thoughtseize on the play, and I'll cut it on the draw. I could shave these Tamiyos, that's pretty low impact. And then do I want Wrath of the Skies in? If I don't bring in Wrath, then I have no way to remove Resolve Chalice of the Void. And I do have 14 1-drops in the deck. I could cut the Underground Sea that I put this swamp in the deck for originally. Like the swamp was in the main deck when I was given the deck. I net on mana sources. I would like this Wrath of the Skies in. Maybe I cut one of the Thoughtseizes for it. Okay. A little bit of everything here. Let's try it. I will keep my hand, and I'm going to go Underground Sea Ponder. Can't afford to worry about Wasteland here. Can't afford to worry about Harbinger of the Seas here. Cauldra and a bunch of lands. All right. I'll take the lands and shuffle away the Cauldra. Ancient Tomb. Chalice of the Void. Now I can Wasteland them, or I could play Psychic Frog. If I Wasteland them, I have to draw Cauldra, which I don't want to do. I think I'm going to fetch Basic Swamp and play Psychic Frog. This is just starting to build out in case I draw Harbinger. Eye of Ugin, Glaring Fleshraker. Alright, they could combo off here, and I'll just be so far behind that these frogs don't even matter. Battle Mage. This is not kicked, because it can't be. It's just a 2-2. Does deal a bunch of damage to me, though. And they still have 3 mana here to keep doing stuff. If they have more stuff. Dismember. Okay. I would have to discard 4 cards to save this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do it. Discard Scrubland, True Name Nemesis, Psychic Frog, Tundra. I am all in on this. Or not. Exile 3 cards. Bastia. Swords of Plowshares. Now I have the choice. Take out the Eye of Ugin, so anything they cast hurts them. Or take out the Ancient Tomb so they don't actually have a starting mana source. I think I want to hurt them by taking out the Eye of Ugin. And I've got a frog with one more thing to discard. Cool. Yeah, every time somebody's tried to dismember my Psychic Frog in an early game, in Modern and Legacy in recent months, they just die. It is worth the discards. Okay. They've seemed pretty into Chalice of the Void. And on the draw, Thoughtseize is just worse in general. I could bring in an Ending, or I could bring in a Batterskull. I think those are my options. I could even entertain just getting a 23rd land in, but I don't think I need that. I think I'll bring in Ending. Being a Swords of Plowshares deck under Chalice of the Void is pretty whack. First appearance of Force of Will, not accompanied by a blue card, though I do have Wasteland and Plow. I'm going to keep this. Eldrazi Temple with art I've never seen before. What even is this? Modern Horizons 3 Commander. Cool. It got new art. Who knew? I think I start with the Wasteland. Because I can plow this whenever. I can't necessarily wasteland once they have a 4-drop in play. You've got a wasteland too. I play basics. I'd love to draw a blue card right now. Any blue card. Sick. Especially that one. Wow. Okay. Well, that makes things interesting. I guess it's not that interesting. And I hope I don't have to pitch that, but here we go. I'm holding up Swords of Plowshares going into their turn. I have the swamp. I could fetch the Blades. I could fetch a island. I'm going to let this hit me. This is not necessarily the scariest thing they can do. If they play a Flesh Raker right now, like that, strongly prefer removing that. Plains, plow. Before I take any damage, Jealous on 1. Okay, I already cast my 1-drop. You missed. That was your chance. Edict. Okay, I'm going to fetch basic island right now and play Stoneforge Mystic. I don't need this basic island, but I do need my opponent not to wasteland me. I'm going to grab Cauldra. And now if they do something messed up, I can just force it. If they don't do something messed up, I can Harbinge them or just Cauldra their face in. I'm at 12. You're at 23. And they didn't play any cards. Fascinating. And I drew a blue card. Lights out. They can wasteland in response here if they want us both to be down a land. I guess they literally have wastes in play, so I haven't even really solved my problem here. But hopefully that will make their game harder. I chip back for 1. I can Cauldron next turn, and all of this just got worse. And they floated a colorless, then conceded the match. Nice. All right. Outgrinding Eldrazi is one of the things decks have to do in this format. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the draw in round 3. No lander. Going to send that away. 2 lander with Force and Frog. Done. I'm going to put one of the Ponders on the bottom. And that gives me the most well-rounded hand to handle the most situations. Scalding Tarn. I am not going to cast Ponder here because I have Surveil lands I can fetch. And I don't want to get basics. And that's my blue card for Force. One of the jokes back in the day when Tarmogoyf was printed and became the premier threat for blue decks is Tarmogoyf is so good that you can't even make the wrong play by pitching it to Force. And Psychic Frog doesn't have that problem. You can pitch it to Force, which is both good and bad. My opponent just milled away a Dark Ritual off an Undercity Sewers. That's weird and suspicious. I will also get an Undercity Sewers, but I won't mill over a Dark Ritual. If I do, you should call a judge. Ulsh Wasteland. There are Storm decks that struggle hard in the face of Wasteland. I am gonna imagine this is not one of them. Okay, I mean, my setup's pretty bad here for a deck that would contain Dark Ritual. It's up to Frog to get it done. Frog can make use of all these white removal spells against whatever this combo deck is, though. They draw for turn. I like Stoneforge Mystic. Attacking. I'm going to discard Prismatic Ending. I just don't think I'm going to need that. I don't want to go too deep on that stuff, but I can afford to get rid of one of them. Stoneforge Mystic, keep the pressure up. Grab Cauldra, just trying to get the game over. They're in draw go mode over there. Whatever they're keeping on the strength of, it didn't materialize. Okay, I'm going to ram Cauldra in. Attack with my creatures. Discard Swords to Plowshares. This is 8 damage. Okay. I can stop there because I have lethal next turn. I could Ponder here. I don't think it does anything, though. Okay, are we going to learn anything about their deck? Were they using their life total as a resource, or am I just in the garbage? That's a Dark Ritual from 8 cards in hand. I have 1 Force of Will and 1 Swords to Plowshares that I could use to play this game. Taiga. Veil of Summer, huh? Yikes. Well, I will force that because this is not getting better. And if they have to Echo of Eons, I would like access to my other forces. This looks like Ad Nauseam Tendrils, which is really interesting. Because they're at 8. If they try to Natty Tendrils me for Xaxes, I can plow my Germ. Okay, they just built 11 Storm and conceded. Alright, yeah, I guess they just whiffed whatever they were looking for they did not find. Cool. Okay, some kind of big Dark Ritual deck. Definitely want Consign to Memory in. Definitely want Deafening Silence in. Surgical's a maybe. If they have Gaia's Will lines, or Past in Flames lines, those sort of things, Surgical would matter. You don't have to build Storm to care about that anymore, but I guess in the blind I will bring it in. Plows, Endings. I can shave a Wasteland. That's not really part of my plan. I have a bunch of threats. I didn't cut any blue cards. I actually added more blue cards. Okay. If they juke me, I lose. If they don't, I'm well set up. Oh, Sheoldred's Edict's probably bad. I could get a Wrath of the Skies in here just as a generic. What if they dump out artifacts? What if they go empty the Warrens? What if they make a bunch of dragons with Elemental Eruption? This could even beat an Ave Progenitor Ooze line if I get enough time to figure it out. Hope they don't play Xantid Swarm. I'm not ready for that. Okay. I'm going to submit this deck. Okay, Force but no blue card. Deafening Silence turn 1. This is good enough to keep. If I lose on turn 1, good job. But I snap cap 7, so we'll see if they even shove into that if they could. Oh, well, that one's awkward because we've seen Veil of Summer. Sometimes Storm decks just concede to Deafening Silence. We'll see if this opponent is ready for it. And step fetch. I expect a Surveil land here. There it is. Kept the card. Hate that. Brainstorm. Okay. I would love to find a blue card to go with my Force, and then the 1 spell per turn game super favors me. They would need Abrupt Decay specifically to be able to play the game after that. I am honestly a little afraid to Thoughtseize them, because I don't want to turn on Veil of Summer in a spot where it's dead. I'm going to tutor the Cryptic Coat here to give myself a blue card. It makes my clock a lot worse, but it does check a very important box. They fetch the Taiga. Abrupt Decay is represented. Burning Wish. Alright. They're wishing for sorcery, which Abrupt Decay is not. Wear down. Gift a card, destroy target artifact for enchantment. If the gift was promised, instead destroy 2. Okay, that's fun. I could force that. They also tapped out of green, which means I could Thoughtseize them this turn. What you working with? Okay, a bunch of Garbo and the card that they just wished for. I'm going to take that. Okay, that's gone. And I drew another blue card, which means I can actually put Cryptic Coat in now without giving up on anything. We got real clock coming in. Pedal. And we're starting to cash out the spot I said of what if they play out a bunch of artifacts on the slow, and Wrath of the Skies is in my hand. Luda Delta is cloaked. That card's real good. I have the mana to pick up and drop Cryptic Coat every turn, which is worth more damage than attacking with Stoneforge. Fetch in the end step. And I'm going to activate Stoneforge. Wait, no, I'm not. Hold on. I'm just going to pick up the coat. If they have a removal spell, like Abrupt Decay, I don't think they can afford to use it on coat or on Stoneforge with the Deafening Silence in play. But if they do have one and they are going to remove a threat with it, I'd rather bounce the coat twice than do a Stoneforge trick. Another Stoneforge underneath. Okay, 3, 6. If I attack for 5, they're at 15. And I can make it 8 damage next turn. Or I could just attack for... Yeah, I don't think it is worth bouncing anymore. The clock is the same. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, picking up and replaying here, just tapping out to do that, also doesn't change the clock. It does make it so they can't fetch. I can also just hold up this handful of interaction and enjoy my life. Making another wish. Go for it. I probably should just force this. I'm at hardcast force mode now, and I have so many cards in my hand just in case this is something helpful. They would need some kind of uncounterable thing, though. And even then, they then have to beat Consign. I'm probably supposed to force that. Though, I don't regret not forcing it either. It's whatever. Batterskull. That card does not change the game for me. I'm going to get rid of it. Surgical Extraction. Okay, they are dead on board. And the cards that we know 5 of the 8 cards in their hand. We know 5 of the 7 cards in their hand. And they're dead. Okay. Soloed by a powerful sideboard card. On to the next round.
We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league.
I'm on the draw in round 4. I played against this person the other day and they were on Reanimator. And I don't always like to mulligan based on what someone was playing a couple days ago, because that can change very easily, especially on Magic Online. But this hand just isn't good anyway. The Scrub land is the land in the deck that doesn't ponder. And I'm holding Cauldra, basically already on 6. Okay, this one is more of a tease, because I would keep this hand if I had no information about my opponent. They're playing 61 cards. I know that about them. 55 at 6. Nice. All right, I'm going to keep in bottom Cauldra. If they're on Reanimator, they got me. Once Upon a Time. All right, cool. Probably not Reanimator, and Swords of Plowshares is probably good against them. Ancient Tomb. Okay, this is looking like the green Eldrazi deck. They went Once Upon a Time for Ancient Tomb and passed. And your boy has Wasteland. Let's see if they can bounce back from that. I generally don't love Wastelanding on the draw, but if they're not going to do anything with their first turn and spend a whole spell to find the land they did play, what do you want me to do? Nothing. Cast a Ponder? What do you take me for? Okay, this is Hold Up Plow or Cast Ponder are my choices. I think I'm going to play a Fetch Land and pass. This sets up Psychic Frog either way, and it can plow if I want to. Aha! Herald. Okay, I am going to spend my mana in the coming turns. I think I just want to plow this Herald now, which means I have to get Scrub Land, because I'm going to go basic Island Frog this turn. Look at these 2-drop heroes of Legacy Past in my hand, and I'm just ignoring them completely for a Psychic Frog. Snap Plow is sick, though. Oh, nice. They had no play, and they can't afford to Wasteland me. Hook that to my veins. An attack with Psychic Frog. I'm not going to discard anything. It's not much of a clock, but that'll change fast. As Stoneforge Mystic enters the fray, tutoring up Cauldra, and might as well Ponder. Force of Will is a good find here. They can't take me off everything with Wasteland. Cool. Found a Force of Will. Checked that box. I kind of hope they draw Wasteland and waste me twice, because I have another white source in hand and they would die so fast. All right, so that opening hand looked like it was all in on Once Upon a Time, bringing it together, and my Wasteland collapsed it, and then they just didn't do anything. I mentioned in the deck tech that this deck has to work hard for all its wins, and we didn't work very hard for that one. Okay, Batterskull, pretty small. The Underground Sea, side grade for basic Swamp. Prismatic Ending, kind of mid. We did this once already. I'm just doing it again. Thoughtseize on the draw. You're out of here. Spell Pierce, you're out of here. Did I only bring in 1 Wrath? Is that what I did last time? I feel like I have reached the point where I got to last time. And I think I did bring in 1 Wrath. I feel like Wrath is good, though. I need 6 mana for Wrath to be great in this matchup. All right, +1 Wrath, -1 Tamiyo. I'm making that change. Let's go. Tamiyo on the draw, also a bit of a stinky. Force Frog Gaming. I'm in. We both kept 7 this time. Ancient Tomb. Herald. You can have Herald. Consigned in Memory. All that starts to become a plan. I'll play Island and pass. I'm worried about Cavern of Souls here, but otherwise my plan is really good. Played around that. Got him. Firing a 4-drop in off Lotus Petal here would be great. That is a 2-for-1. If it's Sowing Mycospawn, they still end up with value out of it. The Herald is kind of awkward because I do care about it, but I also don't, if you know what I mean. I don't know that I want to use premium interaction in the matchup on that card. I'm going to get basic Swamp and deploy Psychic Frog. Forg. Do they want to dismember me? I am happy to play that game, as we've identified. They are 1 mana away from casting Devourer of Destiny, which exiles the Psychic Frog on cast. They didn't reveal that in their opening hand, so they would have had to draw it in the last couple turns if they have that card. And I can force most other things. Might go spawn tutoring a land, and I can't stop the land tutor part. They can't attack here. I could force this just to keep stuff off the board. If they tutor Cavern of Souls, I will force this. Okay. They got Eldrazi Temple. Ooh, attacks. Does this indicate dismember? I'm definitely blocking, though. There's no nuance to this matchup. Okay, it did indicate dismember, and I do have Force of Will for that. I have to discard 2 cards. Discard Stoneforge Mystic. Discard Psychic Frog. I could discard Undercity Sewers and keep the Frog. I'm actually going to do that. And then force pitching Cryptic Coat. Keep the Consign and the Frog available. And with that Wasteland face up, I'm just not excited to put an ETB tap land into play. Do I think they'd want to trade here? I think I don't jump the Frog, and I offer to kill their 4/4 for them. I'm more worried about a damage race than I am about drawing another card here. Okay. I'm going to discard Wrath of the Skies. We're not casting that. Tundra. That kind of rules. Yeah, that lets me play the other Frog and hold up Consign. All right. They are almost dead here. They're not quite dead on board. Or yes, they are, because I could discard this card, jump with the 6 exactly in my graveyard. So they are dead to information they can see. I can discard Consign to save this Frog from a dismember, and they would be at 2. I wouldn't even need to save the Frog. I could just let them die to the other one. Right, let's see what we got here. Consign to Memory. And they tapped Ancient Tomb to do that. Last card, best card. And we did it. Psychic Frog, once again, making a mockery out of Dismember. On to the final round, we have a trophy match to play. We're on the draw in the final round versus the Negator 87, back in the queues after a hiatus. Negator is known for playing depth decks. I don't know if he's still doing that, but my hand is really good against depth decks. I have 2 white removal spells and a Wasteland, which are the things you want in those sort of situations. Okay, I've been hoodwinked. Luckily, my hand is still good, though. So this is Nadu and or Breakfast. Let's get that out of there. If you want to see a cool series I did a few episodes of before I gave up, Deep Analysis was a webcast I did a few years ago, and I actually had Negator 87 on talking about the difference between depths and land strategies. I had Tom, that's his name, talking about depths, and I had Jarvis Yu talking about lands. Deciding if I want to Wasteland here, do I think this is going to be an Urza Saga build? Because this could just be Nadu, in which case Wasteland's great. It could be Breakfast, in which case Wasteland is aggressive and weird. I'm going to be aggressive and weird. Wasteland also turns off Daze, because I can dig out their island. And if I'm just out here casting removal spells, let's do it. That's 2 Nomads out of the deck for good. They only need 1 to win. Immediately punished. That is what I was talking about. I deserve it. Meticulous Archive. All right, I'm going to brainstorm here. Wow, what a disaster this is. Put back Archive and Sewers. And then I'm going to fetch for probably the Sewer this turn. Maybe don't have the 3rd land. Shit. Maybe don't have the Nadu. Yeah, that's just one of those things. You make a decision, and then sometimes you feel silly about your decision after it's made. Whatever. Batterskull in the graveyard. You're not helpful. Yikes. Well, I certainly cannot tap out for True Name Nemesis here. They can tutor Shuko, which makes Nadu or Cephalid Illusionist both insane. Okay, just cranking out constructs. I'm going to fetch for Meticulous Archive before they tutor, just in case there's a needle, though I don't think that's what they would do here. Plow on top's good. Grab the Shuko. I'm going to plow this just to take some pressure off, and then I can play True Name Nemesis next turn and that bricks the other one while leaving up Swords to Plowshares. All right, first appearance of True Name. Can we hold? And they did not play land number 4 or land number 5. Okay, found a land. Sad. Nadu resolves. They're going to get 2 triggers out of this. I'm going to plow immediately in response to the first trigger. They flipped Force of Will, living the commander dream over there. Son of a biscuit. All right, now we're just going to get buried and lose. All of this because I wastelanded a land too early. I deserve it. God, they flipped Nomad as well. Flip a White Source. Why stop you now? All right, Narcomoeba. So this is the full Nadu breakfast. Those are all the triggers you get this turn. If I draw another removal spell, not that I deserve it, but if I do, we might be able to stabilize. Okay, I'm very dead. I'm just going to concede. Can't win this. My own foolish fault with the Wasteland. A Consigned in Memory is good versus Urza's Saga and Thassa's Oracle. I like Wrath of the Skies. That's one of the best weapons that Fair decks had versus Nadu, even in Modern when it was busted. I should expect Teferi, Time Raveler, True Name Nemesis, actually, not what I want. Batterskull, not what I want. I don't think Batterskull needs to be in Stoneforge decks in 2024. It just, between Cauldra and then Cryptic Code and even stuff like Lion Sash, we're kind of in a weird middle ground where this isn't big enough versus the decks where your life total matters. It's not big enough to apply real pressure compared to Cauldra. Games don't get grindy enough where you're picking it up and putting it back in a million times. Okay, how am I actually sideboarding here? Force is great, of course. Surgical is medium. I don't think I want Surgical. Do I need all 4 consigns? Probably not. Love Thoughtseize. Spell Pierce is fine. Prismatic Ending kills Teferi, which is a problem. Children's Edict is good. Snapcaster is good. Oh no, all my cards are good. This sideboard is not mapped for Cephalid Breakfast, that's for sure. I can shave Basic Island. I still have 21 lands. I'd probably shave Plains, though, if I'm cutting a land. They're not going to attack my mana. And do I actually want all these consigns, I guess is the question. You just have fewer of them. With Wrath in, I need consign less to handle Urza's Saga, and it's more to handle Thassa's Oracle. Snapcaster's good. Stoneforge might be a little slow. I can shave one of those. Surgical insulates versus their Nut Draw. If I can counter a Nadu and then get rid of all of them, but all my removal is exile-based. That's not even true. Wrath is not exile-based. I think I am going to bring in another Surgical over another Stoneforge and send it like that. Okay, keep. This one applies pressure, which my last hand did not do at all. I play Marsh Flats and pass. My plan is to fetch Meticulous Archive. Basic Island doesn't cast Nomad. We're not immediately in check, which is how I spent all of last game. Did not shuffle the Ponder. Force of Will, I'll take it. Force, blue card, backing up Psychic Frog. I don't want to go Hellbent to protect my Frog, but it might be right. My first pitch is Snapcaster Mage. Hopefully I can hold on to the Brainstorm. It would be even better if they just didn't have an answer. Swords to Plowshares. Force pitching Snapcaster. I'll commit at least 1 resource to this. Okay, cool. They only had 1. Did not shuffle the Ponder. I've got a Ponder. Love to find Spell Pierce this turn. It's such a specific card that I'd like access to. Brainstorm's better than Ponder here. I actually have cards I want to get rid of. Tundra and Tundra go away. I am going to sandbag the Wasteland this time rather than zap it off. Now I have a choice. I could Ponder and leave up mana for Swords of Plowshares, or I could Ponder and leave up mana for Thoughtseize. I think I'd rather Thoughtseize them here. And rewarded. Cool. All right. Thoughtseize in the hand. What are you working with? Oh, just the whole combo plus silence. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so they can't silence me and do both. They have to pick one. I will take the Swords to Plowshares and pass. Taking the Illusionist is the coward way to play that. Taking the Plow is the winner's way to play that. Narcomoeba's in. There's Consign. Narcomoeba flies, so there's not even a trick to do here. Ooh. They weren't trying to be tricked. Okay. I actually do want a Wasteland here because I know they have a 4-mana sequence that can win the game with protection. Bonus Frog. Now I have Force plus Consign. Hedge Maze. That is no access to white. So Silence is just off right now. We know 4 of their 5 cards in hand. Yeah, oh, interesting. I could just consign the Shuko. Yeah, that's a colorless spell. That's probably the smart way to do this, rather than try to stifle the Oracle trigger after they've gone through everything. Cephalid Illusionist. The Illusionista. I'm going to force that too. Just no combo pieces in play. I have 2 frogs. Let's go. And they've had enough. Final trophy game. They've seen Consign to Memory now. I don't think that's a juke. It's just like, it's in. Wrath of the Skies, pretty slow and specific. I think I want this Consign in. We saw Teferi, confirmed that one. Not that I had any doubt. Thoughtseize is great. Tameo is mid, though it is blue. I'm just thinking if I want another Surgical in here. And I think I do on the draw. Okay, here we go. 2 more interactive spells in. Force blue card, Swords of Plowshares, Wasteland. That covers basically all the things their deck does. Cauldron is a blank, but hopefully we have some time to set up. Land go from the opponent. Another plow. Sick. Didn't fetch, didn't surveil. Hand's already perfect. I'm jealous. I'm going to get Meticulous Archive here. I don't need a Tundra. Now I have the option to shove Frog, but that turns me off of Force of Will. I can hold up Plow, Force. I'm a little worried about them winning a fight over Teferi this turn, and then I basically lose on the spot. Or not on the spot, but I lose next turn. Okay, that Brainstorm explains why didn't fetch on turn 1. Got max value, found a card they wanted off the Surveil. Versus Saga's in. Ponder, that's not a Teferi. Did not shuffle Ponder. I'm going to get the other Surveil land here. Don't want Polluted Delta. I'm playing Wasteland this turn. Wasteland, your Urza Saga. Now I have a backup blue card. All right, yeah, blue-black. Psychic Frog. It resolved. I didn't expect them to counter it, but we know their deck has Swords of Plowshares in it. I'm not going to fight over a Plow. Ooh, backup Saga. Hate that. I will fight over Teferi. Oh, this is Prismatic Ending. Okay. I am going to force this. Change my mind. They tapped out of white to do this, is the difference, so I know another removal spell is not coming right away. Attack with Frog. I'm going to keep Cauldron in my hand. I might need it later. Consign to Memory, really good. Okay, do I counter the Make Constructs trigger? I think I do. Consign that to Memory. The Tutor might be the more important part, but I'm also just not beating the Constructs if they roll them out one at a time here. Okay. Frog recouped its value, got another Prismatic Ending out of the hand. I do need to do something now. Stoneforge off the top. Wrath of the Skies. That card's good if I get another turn. Now I feel silly for using my Consign where I did, but you don't know you're drawing cards so you have them. Unless you're cheating. Which I'm not. Can't do that on Magic Online. Orm's Chant. Okay, I lose. Yep. The silence effects, the Teferi, the silence, the Orm's Chant, that is always the best angle here. And maybe if I had let them kill my Frog, this game would be different. Maybe they have Nadu and not Illusionist. Maybe that was bait and they have nothing. Okay. They tap 3 mana and then change their mind. All right. We've lost. I don't need to see this. Okay. I messed up game 1 by identifying Urza Saga might be a problem and then using Wasteland willy-nilly. It wasn't really willy-nilly. Specifically, we had a conversation about whether if this is pure Nadu or Nadu Breakfast, it really matters where you put the Wasteland and didn't know the deck yet and just kind of guessed wrong. But still, a 4-1 record with this. Came up a little short, 2-player error in round 5. That's a good endorsement. This deck did a good job of going bigger than Eldrazi with Psychic Frog. I mean, that's kind of... And I resolved Psychic Frog with a handful of cards multiple times in clutch matchups where size matters. We didn't play against the low to the ground Frog decks. Didn't get to see how those shake out. My thoughts after playing this, I don't think you need Batterskull in the deck at all. I think you could play 3 Stoneforge Mystics. If you have 2 tutor targets, 3 Stoneforges, and you have Tameo and 4 Psychic Frog, like Frog is the premier threat here, and Stoneforge Mystic is the backup. I think you can get 2 slots by cutting Batterskull and 1 Stoneforge, and then you can have maybe more Thoughtseizes, maybe some Planeswalkers your own, maybe you play more Tameo, maybe you play more Spell Pierce. I don't think you need True Name Nemesis either. Cutting that does affect the blue count though, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Knowing your deck's identity is really important in tuning it and testing it. And I think the identity of this deck is that it is a slightly bigger Psychic Frog deck with Stoneforge Mystic as a backup plan. Building this like it's a Stoneforge Mystic deck that includes Psychic Frog is a mistake. Thoughtseize clears the runway for Frog. Spell Pierce can help fend off removal on Frog once the cards are flowing. You're obviously not going to have a Frog every game, which is where Stoneforge Mystic comes up. But even just having 3 of those, if you have the bonus Thoughtseize and the cheap interaction, plays kind of the same. Tameo, a great Lightning Rod. You play this on turn 1. If they answer it, that's an answer they don't have for one of the 2s. Yeah, I'd probably go minus Stoneforge, minus Batterskull, minus True Name, plus Spell Pierce, Tameo, Thoughtseize. And that's where I would continue working on this deck. Dragon, hope this was helpful. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.